Hi, my name's Glenn Morgan, and this is We the Governed. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to be talking about ghosts in Washington State. All right, so we're back again, and today in Washington State, we are looking at the fact that I see ghosts everywhere I look in Washington State. Now, it's not that type of ghost. The type of ghosts I'm seeing are things like ghost classes and ghost credits that are being issued to students at Western Washington University. Now, Western Washington University is located in Whatcom County in the city of Bellingham in far northwest Washington. And we are going to be talking about that a little bit, but that's going to be one of the issues I talk about ghosts that have been discovered there and problems that we have found. But we're also going to be talking about ghosts in our Washington State legislature, ghost bills, and we will talk about that issue. So ghosts are everywhere to be found. Now, let's talk about Western Washington University. This story, I got focused on the story a few weeks ago when an internal whistleblower actually provided me a copy of some documents that indicated and supported the fact that it appears that Western Washington University is issuing ghost classes and ghost credits to their students in a fraudulent financial aid fraud scheme. And it's quite a large report. And this is really going to be a problem for this university because this report, which came out in the summer of 2019, really is filled with internal emails and very precise documentation about some of these problems. And let's look at a few of the problems that they uncovered. To start off with, there was clear financial aid fraud committed, and that is the appropriate term to use here. And under federal rules, each one of these instances of financial aid fraud could expose the university to fines up to $57,000. It's a little over $57,000 per instance. And at least 20 students were identified as recipients of some of this financial aid fraud. Now, the fraud was committed by the university in an effort to falsify how many credits these students had so they could bump up those credits and allow them to apply for certain types of financial aid they wouldn't otherwise qualify for. So this is very significant, and based on the way this report was written, it seems likely that this is probably going on a little bit more than what they just uncovered in the report itself. And they only went back a few years. They haven't gone all the way back to see how far that this practice has been going on at the university. Another thing that they uncovered was this, they called it misapplication or of incomplete grades for students who basically didn't complete the grades. And what it means is, or didn't complete the classes, and what it really means is that these students either dropped out of the class or they actually failed the class. And what the university did, or employees of the university did, is just gave them the credits for the class anyway, even though they had failed or didn't go to the class. And in all these instances, what I like about this report is it actually attaches these original emails. And in those internal emails, the employees of the university are actually calling these ghost classes or ghost credits when they talk to the students. And it was becoming the term that they were using. So ghost classes and ghost credits is the appropriate term. And this report is pretty extensive. And it looks like they've detailed quite a few instances and quite a few problems and just general lack of oversight at the university that would allow something like this to happen. Now, Western Washington University is clearly having some problems in their internal audit department. Here's photos of the last couple internal auditors who have been removed from the university, and they've had to settle with them. And there doesn't appear to be any cause for why they're removing their internal auditors. And as anybody who looks at a business or a government knows, when you have high turnover inside of an internal auditing department, that is not a good sign. That usually means something's wrong. And this report itself is pretty damning. It indicates that there's probably a lack of oversight in other areas of this university, and it doesn't look good for Western Washington University to have this kind of turnover. Now, it doesn't mean Western Washington University is becoming the clown show that Evergreen College has become, but this is really grounds for a lot of concern. And if you're interested in going to Western Washington University, or if you're hiring people from Western Washington University, you definitely want to look a little bit closer at this and just to see what's actually going on there. which leads to the Washington State Legislature. Earlier this week, the Washington State Legislature started their short session, which means they're going to be in office for about 60 days, passing legislation. And as anybody who pays attention to our Washington State Legislature knows, that any time that they're in session, neither your freedoms nor your pocketbook is ever safe. And so they're going to be looking at all kinds of ways to increase taxes, increase the bureaucracy, increase regulations, ban plastic straws, take away your firearms, find other ways to bloat and expand government. So it's a scary 60 days in the legislature, but part of what makes the legislature scary is something that is called a ghost bill. Now, a ghost bill is basically a placeholder bill, or they call it a title-only bill. And that means that somebody has applied a title and there's really no content to this bill at all. You don't even really know what the topic of the bill is going to be. And they leave it blank and they kind of pass this through their system. And at the very last minute, usually at midnight on a Saturday, when nobody's watching and nobody's paying any attention, they suddenly produce the language that the legislators and special interests have been working on behind the scenes, out of the view of the public, where nobody has any idea what's actually happening. They suddenly produce this bill all ready to go. They drop it into this title-only ghost bill, and they quickly ram it through the legislature. And of course, the governor's always happy to sign these, because the majority of the time, at least at last session, these are usually just tax bills. They've been working on special giveaways or finding ways to increase taxes, and they keep this ghost bill in their back pocket until the last minute. Now, this is obviously a problem for anybody who cares about representative government and who cares about transparency in government, because there's no way to know what's actually coming down the pike in the legislature. You have no way of knowing what's going to happen. So, recognizing that and experiencing this firsthand last session, a Republican representative, Jim Walsh, from the 19th Legislative District, has proposed the legislation that's going to eliminate ghost bills and prevent these title-only or just secret bills, blank bills, from actually going forward in the future. Now, it's likely the Democrats have been using ghost bills for decades. They certainly don't want to abandon that tool that they've been using for a long time to kind of conceal tax increases. So there is probably going to be a lot of opposition to Representative Walsh's idea. But this is something that he's pushing on the legislature. They've recently announced this push, and it's likely the Republicans will get behind it. And this will be one of the fights that the Republicans will have with the Democrats in the legislature this year. So there are ghosts. There are ghosts everywhere to be found, and the one thing that we don't need in Washington State are any more ghosts. And in fact, what we really need to do is try to find ways in Washington State to be ghostbusters and eliminate some of these ghosts wherever they might be found. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more, go to wethegovern.com. You can go in the video description down below to get more information. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And always remember, the future belongs to those who show up.